Hello and welcome to some more Star Citizen news. We're going to be talking about Star Citizen's This Week in Star Citizen post, which actually has some surprises. There's a free fly, there's some stuff happening. And I want to talk about this in 4.1 and 4.1.1. CIG said, following Alpha 4.1's recent release, we've been reviewing your feedback and issue council reports closely, rolling out hotfixes where possible. Your input helps us focus on what matters most, so thank you and keep it coming. Alpha 4.1.1 is currently in testing with the EVOCATI. The team is rapidly iterating based on early feedback, and we're aiming to open to Wave 1 later this week. Stay tuned for more information. In fact, CIG have said there's going to be a new EVOCATI build or new build of 4.1.1 later today on Tuesday, with the possibility of Wave 1. I assume it means Wave 1 today rather than just generally this week. Starting Thursday, we're also gearing up to launch the first free fly of 2025. It's a great chance for new players to jump into the verse, and it arrives alongside our spring promotion, featuring some new paints and career kits throughout the weekend. In anticipation of the free fly, we'll be undertaking maintenance activities to tweak the back-end settings and shore up performance and stability ahead of the event. Stay tuned to Spectrum and the RSI status pages this week for updates, hotfixes, and more. So this is really interesting because they're basically saying, look, we're going to have a promotion, a little spring event that's going to be running soon, this Thursday in fact, and it's going to have career kits. So career kits, assumedly that'll be a ship, a skin, potentially a starter pack, and maybe some gear for it, all available that you can grab with real money, or some FPS armor, stuff like that. Expect different tailored skin and ship packages, or at least single ships bundled up with some other bits and bobs ahead of the release of Alpha 4.1.1. Is it a good time for them to do a free fly? Probably not. Is it a good time for them to test a free fly ahead of the Fleet Week free fly? Yeah, it probably is actually, right? They need to make sure that that big free fly event is working perfectly. Well, maybe not perfectly, but really well. And people can actually play the game. We're getting to the stage where Star Citizen is trying to become a bit more mainstream. They're going to have some big releases next year with Squadron 42. They're talking about playability this year. They need a playable game. They need it to appeal to a larger audience that don't want to constantly crash or have to fiddle around with their setup. They don't want to necessarily play an alpha game. They don't want an early access, but they want something more akin to a beta. It'll be interesting to see if there's any theme behind this free fly. I suppose it might be the Align and Mine stuff, but it could just be general roles in Star Citizen, and they could go through combat, mining, salvage, and all that sort of jazz. With 4.1 live in mind as well, CIG said we've rolled out a dedicated game server hotfix on select shards for testing. This hotfix has work for surface mineable issues, as well as fauna causing large entity counts. From our testing, this new hotfix is now stable and appears to have resolved the issue, so we've made it the default replacement build to replace instances that crash. This will slowly scale as this happens, but we will fully replace any that haven't been hotfixed during the maintenance window on Wednesday, if not today. So yeah, if they address a load of those problems with 4.1 and they get the game running as best they can, I think even a free fly as early as this week could work pretty well. We'll have to wait and see. I do think it's going to be invaluable to CIG and Star Citizen getting a free fly in now and testing some stuff, ironing the bits out, and then getting Fleet Week working really well while you're going to have huge amount of eyes on Star Citizen. Something else you're getting this week is the return of a Star Citizen show. It's been a couple of weeks since CIG have put a show out. Thursday, Inside Star Citizen returns with a discussion on our continually improving hair pipeline and looks at several of the new hairstyles making their way into the persistent universe throughout the remainder of this year. Hairstyles and NPC updates, character updates, and anything to do with the customization that you can do in your character, I actually think is massive because it really improves the variety of NPCs and characters that you see and makes the world potentially more believable. Obviously, people do silly stuff with their characters. I suppose it's harder to blend in with the crowd if you have a ridiculous looking character. I know this in real life because I've been blessed with a ridiculous looking visage. Also, I've got no hair options in real life. It's bald. But I'm just glad to have Inside Star Citizen returning. I do think it's actually harder for CIG to make these shows. There's less to show in the way that they want now, because the monthly patch cadence means that they're focusing much more on things over the next 2-3 months. And if they show something that they're working on a little tiny bit further out, it sort of entirely ruins it. And they might not actually be working on stuff that far out. They might be working much more focused style, or on things like Squadron 42, which they're not really going to want to share until probably after CitizenCon this year. So throughout this week, you can expect more 4.1.0 updates and hotfixes. You can have that interesting free fly, which, I'm interested to see what ships we get, what actually they are selling, if there's any other interesting in-game stuff happening with that event. I am excited for more character updates for Star Citizen. Also, they said that on Friday, you've got the RSI newsletter coming straight to your inbox. We can neither confirm nor deny that Marox will be involved in this delivery. Fly low and fly fast. But everything they do at the moment, in my opinion, is gearing up for Fleet Week in May. Probably the biggest event that CIG have ever done Fleet Week-wise. It is comparable to the Intergalactic Aerospace Expo. Obviously, it's just more focused on combat ships, but it is an essential money-making event for them. That said, the way they've split down monthly patches, it does mean that they get a more stable income every month as well from monthly patch releases and little sales that they do with them. Them doing this spring promotion, well, let's see what happens with that. I'm really interested to know what you think is going on with this spring promotion and the free fly. Do you think it's a good idea? Do you think it's a bad idea? Are you playing on 4.1.1 at the moment? Are you hoping it's going to go to wider PTU today or later this week? What's your experiences of 4.1 on the live build now with those hotfixes now in, or assumedly now in by the time you see this? What's that? You want to comment down below on one of my videos? Well, that's a great idea, because every month we have a ship giveaway, and for the month of April we are giving away to 3 different lucky winners a Drake Golem with lifetime insurance and gameplay package. It's cool. CIG gave us one of those, so thank you very much for that. Just comment on any of my videos made during the month of April to be in for a chance of winning. Other links down below. We've got THRUSTMASTER. I've been playing around with some THRUSTMASTERy stuff. The Sol R, the new joystick, the new flight stick, and the HOSAS. Both I've been using it as a single stick, but also attempting to use it as a HOSAS. Spoilers, I'm not very good with stick and stick. However, I do really recommend the setup. I think it's absolutely fantastic. You will not be disappointed unless you are, which is unlikely. Links down below that. We've got, I know, some stuff like NordVPN. Get yourself some NordVPN. Best darn VPN we ever did advertise on this channel for stability and privacy and accessibility of the interwebs. Oh, just click the links below if you want any of those products. We get a little kickback. Thank you very much for watching. You are fantastic people for supporting the channel, and you can do so even more by clicking the join button or commenting or whatever. I love you. See you later. Bye.